Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you a game between Magnus Carlsen, current world champion, and Viswanathan Anand, former world champion. The game was played in 2017 London Chess Classic round 3. Let's see the game. White starts with d4 and black replied with knight to f6 controlling d5 and e4 squares. c4 from white and e6. This move controls d5 square and allows the dark square bishop to develop. If white plays knight to c3, black might continue with bishop to b4, entering the Nxd4 defense. g3 from white playing the Catalan Opening. White intends to develop the bishop to g2, controlling the a8 h1 diagonal. d5, attacking the pawn from c4, and white continues the development with bishop to g2. D takes on c4, black grabs the pawn, releasing the tension from the center, and we can notice that the light square bishop diagonal was opened. Knight to f3, another developing move, followed by short castle. White's main goal is to develop his pieces, and the pawn from c4 can be captured later with queen to a4 check or with knight to a3. c5, black attacks the center, and white is castling, putting his king to safety. Knight to c6, developing move, attacking the pawn from d4, and here white develops the knight on the edge of the board, attacking the pawn from c4. This is the fourth move played in this position. The common response for white is to play queen to a4, pinning the knight from c6 and attacking c4. C takes on d4, black takes, and the bishop from f8 threatens to take the knight from a3, creating double pawns for white on the a file. Knight takes on c4, white is recovering the pawn, and bishop to c5, developing move, protecting d4 pawn and prepares castle. In this position, white needs to develop his dark square bishop, and he has two choices: to develop the bishop on the c1 h6 diagonal or on a1 h8 diagonal by pushing b3. In this position, white played b3, and there is one game in the database played in this position between Nigel Short and Matthew Turner from 2012. So b3 from white and queen to e7. The queen defends the bishop from c5 and white plays bishop to b2. On the other game mentioned, black played short castle instead of queen to e7. Knight e5, the knight jumps into the center, attacking the knight from c6. And black captures on e5, and white recaptures, and a pair of knights is exchanged. Knight to d7, attacking the knight from e5. Another way for black was to continue with development with short castle. Bishop to f4, a developing move, defending the knight from e5. And short castle, black king is safe, and rook to c1, placing the rook on the open c file, and also looking at the bishop from c5. Rook to d8, the rook is on the same file with white queen. Another way for black to continue was to kick the knight from e5 by playing f6, followed with e5, kicking the bishop from f4. Knight to d3, the knight retreats, threatening to take the bishop from c5. That's why black put his bishop on b6. We can notice that c7 square can be accessed by the bishop. That's why in the game white continue with bishop to c7, attacking the rook and the bishop. If black would capture on c7, white will recapture with the rook, having a rook on the 7th rank. Rook to e8, the rook moves from the attack, and white finishes opening by moving the queen to c2. The king is safe, the rooks are connected, and all minor pieces are developed. e5. Black support his d4 pawn. For the moment, the pawn from e5 is protected 3 times, and white attacks it only twice with the bishop and the knight. But this pawn can easily be defended with f6. Rook fd1. White brings the last piece into the game, and also his rooks are centralized. Knight to f8. Black might play knight to e6, attacking the bishop from c7, but the most important thing is that the light square bishop can be developed. Also, the queen from e7 attacks the bishop from c7. White expands on the queen side, threatening to push a5, forcing the bishop trade. This pawn moves makes the b3 pawn weak. This is a target for black in the future. Bishop to g4. Finally, black developed his last minor piece, and he finished his opening on move 18. With this move, black threatens to take on c7, and after the queen recaptures on c7, black can capture the pawn from e2. That's why in the game, white took the bishop from b6, inflicting double pawns for black, but in the same time opening the a file for black rook. h3, attacking the bishop. There is a rule in chess saying that we need to push back opponent pieces that stand in our territory. And rook a c8. Black plays an intermediate move, attacking a white queen, and the queen moves away from the attack. And bishop to e6. The bishop goes back, and he's looking at the b3 weakness. The drawback of this move is that the bishop cuts the communication of the queen with the e5 pawn, and this pawn is undefended, and white takes advantage of this and captures the pawn from e5, and also the queen is looking at the d4 pawn. Rook takes on c1, white recapture, and one pair of rooks is exchanged, and now white controls the c-file. Black is grabbing the weak pawn from b3, and also the knight from e5 is under attack. That's why white goes to f3 with the knight, and the bishop takes another pawn. And we can see that black has 2 double passed pawns on the b file. White grabs another pawn, and the bishop from g2 is attacking the weak pawn from b7. Knight to e6. Black knight comes into the game, attacking the knight from d4. And knight to f5, attacking the queen, and the queen moves to f6, attacking the knight, and the knight goes back to e3. Queen to d4. Black wants to exchange queens, and white does not want to do this, so he moves queen to a2, attacking the bishop from a4. Knight to c5, defending the bishop and also the pawn from b7. In this position, white goes forward with his rook, attacking the queen and the bishop, and black counter-attacked white queen, and in this position players are exchanging the queen with rook takes on d4 and bishop takes on a2. White continues with rook to b4, attacking the weak pawn from b6, and after rook to e6, defending the pawn, the players agree to a draw. All the other games from round 3 London Chess Classic ended in a draw. Actually, all the games from round 1, 2 and 3 are draws. I hope you learned something from this game. Please watch other games from my channel, and if you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.